Hello, hello. I hope everyone's having a good day. Gotta finish drinking my Flavortown water. I'd like to first start off the stream by extending a mega thank you to First Crayoni over on Twitch for following. Thank you so much. And then also to Miko and to Ashley for subbing on YouTube. You rock. Thank you, Jace. Audio. I'm gonna fly. Enjoy some bagel ASMR. Bagel's crunchy as fuck. I don't know what happened to him. It's not even that it's like overcooked or anything. This particular bagel is crispy as hell. Beat, I'll give you melody. Make the bum bum beat, I'll give you melody. Okay. I am not warmed up. $27, I think, was this. I'm actually gonna draw him. Oh, I need my sketch. And then actually draw him in his t-shirt, I think. So it's just a vest and a t-shirt, I think. I don't like that. Come on, Han. There we go. Better. I'm gonna keep eating stuff. Oh my god. Why? Today's one of those days. This bagel just straight snapped in half. And then punched me directly in the throat. Okay. Good God. Okay, I just want to eat. Man, goddamn. Hi, Jamie. How are you? You missed me throwing a bagel directly at myself.
I mean, I heard you talk about it snapping in half, so...
It indeed broke in half.
That's unfortunate. I'm sorry that happened to you.
It's okay. I'm not upset.
Do you need, like, a napkin or something?
No, I'm good. I'm just...
Okay.
That's what tissues are for. Somehow the big piece survived. The little piece was trying to fucking go. I got a bagel. I got a Guy Fieri Flavortown flavored Waterloo. Which is unfortunately now empty. There's some stuff about this that I'm not a fan of, and I'm trying to figure out what it is. And I think it was because his shoulder was too narrow. I'm doing okay. I am mega tired because I'm kind of back into doing school and work, and I'm doing like 3 contract jobs at the same time now, although one I haven't really started. I got a lot of deadlines this week, so that's kind of where I'm at, is I'm going to be kind of hustling. Which is what it is. But just continuing to apply for stuff. Oh, thank you. So not bad. Now my whole mouth tastes like hand sanitizer, though, because I hand sanitized myself when I came back in from getting packages, and now I am hand sanitizer. Poor Brady. I don't know what he put in his mouth to make him make this face, or if he's getting socked in the stomach. Like, this does look like somebody who just got punched. God, this little nose. I love his little nose so much. Yep, just trying to keep up on everything and having, hopefully, a relatively productive day. I have to like message everybody. Actually, I'm gonna do that really quick now. I would have said hi sooner, but I'm making a blueberry muffins. You can tell I'm on the phone. Blueberry muffins sound fucking delicious, though. Oh, God, the blueberries came and exploded. Oh, my God. Yeah, that's legit traumatizing. It's okay, I threw a bagel at myself, so apparently that's just the vibe for the day, is just like flying food. This is the face of someone who is having literally the worst time. I don't know what Brady is going through, but truly. He's like, help me, please. Good. Oh my god. I'm not warmed up at all. It's alright. Other than exploding muffins, I hope you're doing good. Or rather, exploding blueberries. God, I need to beat Night in the Woods. I have it on my Steam wish list, so sometime I'll stream it. Hopefully going back to school won't be the worst. I'm definitely glad I don't have to do that anymore. College is different. College is fun. Road 96. Oh, cool. Yeah, I'll take a look. Currently, I don't even have enough money for chicken nuggets. I don't know. I have to check to see what my account balance looks like, but that's cool though. I love those short little indie games. I'll definitely take a look. Let me go search this right now because actually I have Steam open. Hi, Cam. How you doing? Because at minimum, what I can do... Oh, right now, Road 96 went back up to 20 bucks, which is not a bad thing. But I always ask for... oh my lord. I always ask for Steam gift cards when I have like birthdays and Christmas and stuff. Procedurally generated road trip. That's insane. I like that, though. Yeah, the sale must have ended today. No worries on that one, though. I will add this to my wish list, though. That's really cool. Yeah, very, very cool. It's got unique mechanics, and that's really what I'm interested in. That's why I really like the indie games, like typically over AAAs, is because they innovate. Playing some Minecraft, that's nice. I still have not touched a singular Minecraft. Not once. I have not smashed a single cube. Not a whole cube. Not a Minecraft boy. I don't know why I just have never touched it. I think the theory in my mind is that we got the different types of tism, right? You got train tism. You got like what other common types are there? We got art tism. Let me see if somebody has a list. Literally, so many people on Reddit are like, why do autistic people like trains so much? I'm like, get away from me. But point being is, oh, dinosaur-tism? Yeah, true. Dinosaur-tism is a real thing. I feel like we also have dragon and or furry-tism. The list goes on. But point being is somehow I ended up not Minecraft-tism, and I... I have a mix of art, writing, and sharks. Yes, fishy! What a beautiful combo. To be fair, sharks are fucking cool. I feel like I ended up with a little bit of music. Music, art, writing are probably my core. My core 3. Oop, everybody hydrate. Today I'm drinking a Russian Caravan Black with crab apple jam in it. Oh, and actually, you know what I got, though? The Legotism. Mad Legotism. Okay, everybody stretch. Posture check. We have a whole self-care combo. Sit up straight. Don't treat yourself like poopy. Yeah, me and Legos. Holy moly. Y'all, I love that we could all hang out in here. Just saying. Like, I remember... Not even a joke. Like, things have changed so much since I was a kid. Like, I remember when even talking about this shit would have gotten me bullied to all fuck. So I love and appreciate every single fucking neurodivergent person in here because all of a sudden yeah, it is just really nice. As one neurodivergent to another, I appreciate all of you. I had to wrangle Tycho into not buying another Lego. Look! The succulent ones were cool. I'm still probably going to go after it again. I'm going to go back for the succulent ones because we're going to be here for a year now again. So that just means that we have... I'm going to go and get the succulent one, and I'm specifically going to get a shelf to put them on. So... I almost just stabbed myself. Be careful. We were talking the other day about how I stabbed myself with a felting needle while I was working on some new art, and now the scab for that is, like, healing, but it, like, no joke, is just inside my thumb, and it's just a straight white line down the side of my thumb. It was ouchy. Wrangle is a good word for the situation, truly. Look, I was rabid, okay? Violent. Ah, welcome to the YouTube side, Cal. Welcome, welcome. I jammed my thumb on the dryer on Saturday. Yeah, it was bad. Ah, good. I dropped the photo in the general. Let me see, let me see. Ah, yeah, buddy. Oh my god, yeah, me too. No, these are awesome. I love all the architecture ones. Oh, and the cars, too. I almost got the bamboo one. They have like a singular bamboo, and I was very close to getting that. This is a hella cool shelf, dude. That's so awesome. Your collection's really neat. Yeah, that's awesome. I'll have to take a picture of mine. I have a lot of like Chinese New Year ones, or Lunar New Year in general. Most of them are Chinese themed, to be honest. I do have one Lunar New Year one that's like cross or like multicultural or Pan-Asian, but then most of them are like true Chinese New Year. Although Lego's been getting some flack for that. Yeah, I was looking at the 9 small ones. Yeah, fishy. And then there's also the individual bamboo one that I was trying really hard to not buy. Because we have a bamboo plant that's, like, alive. I should just wait until Lunar New Year and get another bamboo, like a living bamboo plant. Because they're easy to take care of. They're really not that bad. Oh, this is a bad tangent. Hold on. Don't practice sutures without glasses. Mood. Oh, nice. Thank you. Yeah, Jace, feel free to go rogue. I trust your judgment on that. I have like 6 unbuilt sets. Honestly, they don't last very long in my house. I get the Legos and then I'm just like, and then I literally can't. I'm rabid. Bamboo is a grass, yes. Yeah, it's incredibly easy to grow. So if you pick up those bamboo plants from like King Supers, Kroger, at like the grocery stores just in general around Lunar New Year, if you live around like an Asian population, they're really easy to grow and keep alive. You don't need a lot, which is really cool. And also they help bring money into your household. I'm just gonna kind of stick these little guys down here. I feel like, hold on, looking at this again, remember when last time I was like, there's something wrong here? It's this one. Better. And yeah, if you plant it outside, it is invasive though. Yeah. Do not plant it outside. Oh yeah, I saw the bonsai one too. Oh, I changed the leaves to cherry blossom. That's so cool. Oh, have you seen the Zen Garden set? It's amazing. It has like movable pieces and stuff, and so like whenever you feel like changing up the set, you just like move the pieces around. It's so great. It's so fun. This Russian Caravan's good, but it's smoky. Okay, here's my... I'm just going to do as many of these as I can to fill up this sheet and not worry about an exact number. I just don't have room yet. True. My mom got it for me, and I was like, where am I supposed to put this? And so I had to, like, invent a shelf. I had to manifest. Listen to this lovely dice ASMR. Oh, I forgot a dice. Oh, I got 27 again. That was lucky. Let's try again. No, that one fell, so I'll just let it stay. Alright, let's look at 30. Oh, 30's cute. Yeah, that's cute. I can try. I'm crooked, but alright. Love glass animals, they're so good. Okay. Alright, let me see what angles I got. So we got left, we got right. I feel like 2. I lost a little bit of this here. I'm gonna go a little bit larger on his nose. There we go. Nice. Right, and then I got down. Let's see, hold on. I'm gonna just grab a random reference here. Sure, I'll roll for this too. Oh, I realize rolling dice for this actually, as much as I want to, I realize for the chart doesn't work because I'm going to get an average of 30 every time. Hold on. I'm going to random.org. We're doing this way, actually, instead. $23 is great. So that's going to be ours. 23. And then let me see which angle we're doing. Okay. This one is... Oh, but it doesn't really fit the expression. Hold on. Okay, sure. Whee! Oh, whoops. That's silly. That's not on the right layer. That's wrong. That's incorrect. Okay. Meow. I'll put this back. Okay, there we go. Better. I know you're not supposed to eat the raw batter, but it's so good. Look, 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 look. It's okay, it's okay. We don't talk about it. I mean, theoretically, the only risk is the raw eggs. Really? Like, well, and sometimes the raw flour, but mostly it's the raw eggs. So as long as you got good eggs that aren't, like, crazy, you're good. Give your immune system a workout. Exactly. I eat raw eggs all the time, but that's because I eat quail eggs. Those are a little different. And yes, you can bake flour to eat it raw. Then you can also make like homemade Play-Doh and eat that raw. If you ever wanted to eat Play-Doh. Also, I hope you're doing great, you. How did I deal with his face not shocked? Hold on. Oh, it's just a big, like, large eye. Okay, never mind. Question answered. No Play-Doh for me, thanks. You are a coward. I cannot say with certainty whether or not I've actually eaten Play-Doh. I have no recollection of this. I can say that I have probably accidentally swallowed a marble and definitely accidentally swallowed a penny. To be fair, I was like 5. Oh yeah, nice you. That's great. That's great. Most likely also swallowed a marble. It's just one of those things. I didn't ask to be this way. My brother swallowed a tumbled stone I got from my mom for Mother's Day. Oh, that's rude. That's rude. really like. He chose violence. Yeah, the ads are really annoying, to be honest. It's true though. They are what they are. He was feeling it with his mouth, and it was an accident. Oh, yeah, no, that's what happened to me with the marble. I was like, this is nice in there. I made a mistake. Okay, let's see. God, why? I wish that I could draw. Wowee. Hello? I just don't want him to be looking like Mr. Ring-a-Ding, you know what I'm saying? Nice, everybody loves some fresh stuff. Mr. Who? Mr. Ring-a-Ding. Oh, also welcome back, Jamie. Oh, God. Rip to the Nuggets, man. Moment of silence in the chat for the Nugs, man. Whoa. No Whovians in the chat? We don't got any Whovians in here? To be fair, I myself am not really a Whovian. I'm gonna draw Brady without the hat. Yeah, for real, that's the third thing today. No joke. What even? Yeah, Mr. Ring-a-Ding was in a very recent episode. It was great. It was a Who Framed Roger Rabbit style animation. And he looked wonderful. He was a rubber hose cartoon character who was also a villain. He was a god. God of light. I would recommend checking out at least the Doctor Who episode Lux to enjoy and appreciate the insane amount of work that the animators put in traditionally animating Mr. Ring-a-Ding. Oh my god, this child. Oh my god. I don't deserve Brady. Oh. I don't deserve him. Why? Okay, let me make sure that this looks okay. I might... Oh my god, turn off the layers I need you to, thank you. Yeah, I think... Hello? Okay, and then... Here we go, better. No Mr. Ring-a-Ding here. Oh god, 200k Q lines? What happened? I have a lot of questions. Dang. Oh, it's open beta. Oh. I was like, dang. There we go, better. Smug ass little face. What the fuck? Actually, there are still some missing curls here, I think. Oh, my Snorlax. Oh, God. Shush. Oh, actually, I should probably feed it today, though. Okay, cool. I will know if I have that Chinese, the Chinese, writing job. Hey, yo! Ooh, 90 on your paper. That's great, though. My Snorlax. Yeah, I play Pokemon Sleep. It's a great way to track your sleep, and also, like, I like it more than Pokemon Go. I find it to be, like, less intensive and competitive, because you're really only playing with yourself. And then, yeah, you feed him food, and then you go to sleep, and then he levels up, and then that's it. I dropped the 5 different photos cropped in for the thank you cards in your DMs. I feel like the first 3 look best for composition. Okay, let me check. Yeah, I like the first one. That was my favorite one when I looked at the other day, even out of the other 3. And the 4th one. The 3rd and 4th are my vote.
Or 1st and 4th?
Or yeah, 1st and 4th. Yes, sorry. Yes. My mom's gonna lose her mind. She's gonna really, really like these. Eat your sausage, Snorlax. Oh, whoa, I've never heard this mix of this song. Cool. I play Pokemon Go because I've been playing for, yeah, whenever it was released. Yeah, I played it when it first came out. And then I found myself very quickly outpaced by new players or old players. And so, like, I feel like the competitive aspect of it, like, to be able to go and actually, like, participate in events or things like that, like, that's my major problem, is that I don't often have time to do limited time events or things like that, where Pokemon Sleep makes it really easy. Like, all you have to do is just, like, play the game when you go to sleep, and you can participate in the events, versus actually doing something where you have to go out, walk, go to places. Like, I just don't have the time for it. So, I love Pokemon Go. I love it, but I do find that the play style for me is just not one of those things where it's like I'm able to do it. I made my Snorlax apple curry. Eat it, buddy. Nom 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 nom. Eat it, you son of a bitch. There he goes. Yeah, Pokemon Go is amazing. It's great for getting out, for sure. It's a really cool concept. What I like about both Go and Sleep is that the goal is to encourage people to, like, invest in their wellness, which is great. All right, Brady, and your cute little stupid face. I fed him apple curry. Yeah, my Snorlax ate apple curry, and now he will level up like crazy, and now the higher your Snorlax's level effectively per each area that you're in, so it like resets every week, the more rare Pokemon come to your area, because effectively I think the theory is that they find comfort in the Snorlax and his big protective nature, and so they come to sleep and eat with the Snorlax because there's like community in that. And so then all of the little guys show up. So I gotta make my Snorlax beefed. I gotta make him like Chungus. True though. Yeah, Snorlax is like effectively just like a large beanbag. Like, he's so cute. Truly. Beef him with the apple curry. Exactly. Eat your damn vegetables. It does make me want curry. I want to make all of the recipes in Pokemon Go. I just think that'd be really fun. And they have so many different variations of Japanese curry in here that I've never seen. And so I'm like, that would be really kind of cool to be able to make that. And some of them, of course, use like silly ingredients that are themed around Pokemon, but like you could probably figure out like what the equivalent is. Because like if I were to make like a Snorlax tail dish, for example, I'd probably just use octopus instead. Because it has the same kind of like beefy, meaty, thick texture, I would imagine, as like a lizard tail, you know? Like you could make that work. Yeah, because I have a list of all of the recipes unlocked, because I have all of those rip raring and ready to go in my inventory. It would just be a matter of, because like most of them are easy. Like for example, apple curry, you just get a packet of golden curry, get a bunch of like vegetables, and then add apples. I love like multimedia stuff. That's like one of the biggest things for me about Japanese media, is that they are very intense about describing food and having a specific relationship with food in their media that the US isn't really, and that's pretty prevalent in my work. Like every single book you can find some kind of recipe or something that you can actually make. Because me and food, it's like really, really important. Get out of there, bot. I saw it flash on my screen and I was like, get, go on, get. So fast, I didn't see it apparently. Good, it was garbage. Garbage that does not deserve to grace this screen. Get out of here. I love how everybody's freaking out about Twitch's new lurk bot policies. I don't know if anybody has heard the drama about that, but I'm like, I don't know how to tell people that if they're afraid of getting mistaken as a lurk bot or a follow bot, then they probably should just actually engage with people's streams so that Twitch doesn't think that their account is just made for lurking. Like, just occasionally buy stuff with the like, Twitch points or whatever. You don't even have to, like, chat in the chat. You just have to, like, bare minimum buy stuff. And that's it. That's been, like, the latest freak out. I'm hoarding my coins! Oh, yeah, ZZZ. Yes, well, and that's what I love about Genshin as well, is that there are so many delicious cooking recipes in Genshin as well. Everybody hydrate. Drink some liquids. I will buy something, but I'm hoarding. I love that. I love that so much. I want to play Genshin again, but now I feel like I'm really fucking behind. And I really can only have one, like love that I can pour all of my existence into, and that is Overwatch, truly. Like, if I worked like a regular 9 to 5, I probably would be okay, and I would have more time to play games, but Genshin does have very good character design. We've talked about this before. My only gripe is lack of racial diversity, and some of the characters are kind of funky looking in terms of their shape design, but overall, very, very nice. I would say they're not that weak. Street Fighter, son of a gun, cow. I'm gonna be going to the gym later today too. So actually, I'm trying to think. I'm gonna not do squats because I'm gonna be doing squats later. My little crispy knees, my old man knees. In case if anybody actually wonders if I really do these push-ups over here, I do. I do them. Everybody should, if you can, get up, do some kind of exercise, whether that's 10 squats, 10 push-ups, 10 crunches, 10 stretches, 10 steps side to side. Get your blood pumping a little bit. 10 steps in place. Oh God, y'all wealthy. Saving up those coinage. I also wanted to say too, today, because I've been thinking about it, I wanted to say thank you to everybody who like hangs out in here and like participates in streams and stuff, because I recognize that like not everybody has this good of a community. And I made a video recently about how I'm like really frustrated with the querying process, and I'm up to like I submitted 25 I think so far, and I've gotten only like, I don't know, like no responses back, all rejections. And it's been, you know, it is what it is. But there was this author that popped onto my TikTok who was like, man, well, a 40% rejection rate's pretty dang good. I've gotten a 100% rejection rate. And I was like, okay, like that's why I'm submitting to independent presses and stuff too to see if they want my stuff. And now actually I'm up to 60% rejection rate almost here, actually. So it's slowly climbing. And then he was like, yeah, well, don't expect much from that because I didn't hear anything back from them either. And I was like, dang, dude, like, holy shit, like, you're so angry. And then the only thing that I could say was like, yep, well, that's why I'm going to go back to, like, if I can't, like, get any agents to pick up my stuff, I can either, like, go back to self-publishing because I know that I do that and I do that really well and I sell books and I don't make like a living off of the books, but I sell books. But like all in all, it's like I have options, like I have like hybrid publishing and things like that, but it definitely is evident in the fact that like I have supporters like you guys that like buy my stuff, care about my work, want to participate in things like this and like hang out and stream, etc., that make it so that I actually can do what I do, because there are a lot of people out there who don't have good like support networks or fan bases or anything like that, and they just effectively are just like alone, which sucks. So I do appreciate everybody. It's just like a constant reminder of that shit. Oh yeah, that's okay. Yeah, no, I know. I recognize I stream during a time where people like are in school, you know. But no worries on that one. Totally get that. But yeah, I was just like, yeah, it was really awkward. I'm like, I don't even know what to say to you. Like, I'm frustrated for sure, but I'm not like so frustrated that I'd be like, fuck it, I'm never gonna publish. It's like, you figure it out. Like, if you can't make it happen, you figure out how to make it happen. Like, there's a solution to everything, you know? Oh, I got just statistics. Ew, statistics. Ooh, bleh. Gross. Math classes. Ew. Well, what I need to figure out is... I have to try and figure out if I want to do hybrid. Oh yeah, see, I'm looking at this definition of like hybrid publishers, and it's like, fuck, man, I'm doing all of it by myself. A hybrid book publisher. So effectively, a hybrid publisher is like a halfway step in between a self-published author and a traditional publishing house most of the time, and it's wild because like I myself function more like a hybrid publisher as an individual than I do as a self-published author, because of the way that I operate, the services that I offer, and the things that I can do. And so ultimately it's looking like there's really no reason for me to pay a hybrid publisher $15,000 to publish my novel when I can just do it myself. Like, that makes zero fucking sense. Like, and like, yeah, I get paid less, but like, yeah, and sometimes it's lower. Sometimes it's more like 4K. Yeah, and sometimes the hybrid publishers do something. They have access to distribution networks that you might not have access to, which is why some people would choose to go that route. Because that's really where I'm running into issues, is that I have the problem of being too small to make substantial amounts of sales, and so that causes a lot of issues. And so sometimes hybrid publishers, they have distribution networks that you don't have access to, which can be good, but it depends. Like, it's like, okay, well, if I pay you, if I pay you this money, do you have the distribution, or am I just paying you for no reason? And that's the question you have to ask yourself when you choose any publishing house, because, like, for example, even submitting to these independent publishing houses that I am right now, these smaller presses, I have to be very selective with how which ones I choose, if that makes sense. Yeah, you have to, like, and sometimes people are just there to print your book, because some authors, like, I recognize, again, I have the skills to be able to design, illustrate, format, write, edit, do literally everything that I need to with my books, which is not the case for every self-published author, because not everybody is an artist, right? And so that's what the services that they're offering, that's what you're paying them $4,000 to do. But you're right, because some of them will take that money, they will pocket it, and then they will do absolutely jack shit for you, which is not great. Don't forget your muffins. Not the muffs. Yeah, see, and here's a quick little thing. Look at that shit. Panic mode. Oh, not panic! Yeah, they don't really know more than you, right? In my specific case, they don't. And the most important thing is the math. We're going to be hitting ads in just a second, but I will talk about the math breakdown when we get back. Let me... 22... This is a funny face. I'm going to do one directly from the front, because that doesn't tend to happen often. I tend to always want to draw my characters from certain angles, and so drawing a character from the front is just not really that common. I am going to end up tilting Brady's head, though. Bye, Jamie. See you later. Have a good day. Oh yeah, no, definitely. Like Colorado Springs Comic Con, I did 1 year. I sold there, and they were charging as much as Denver Fan Expo, and Denver Fan Expo brings in, it's $350 to sell at a table. Denver Fan Expo brings in 47,000 people in 3 days. Colorado Springs Comic Con is about a fourth of that. And so I'm like, why would I pay the same prices as Denver Fan Expo to, like, and it used to be in the Chapel Hills Mall. That was when I did it, was when it was in the Chapel Hills Mall and the abandoned Kmart. The ceiling was fucking leaking. It was a whole time. It was bad. Well, and Denver Fan Expo isn't necessarily just about fan art, but I can definitely say that the audience there is very specific, and I barely broke even every single time I was there because the people that go only want to go for anime art. They do not shop for anything else. Like, so if you don't have that shit in your inventory, you're just like you're not gonna make sales, or at least that was my experience anyway. Because it used to be called Denver Comic Con, and then it got rebranded because San Francisco Comic Con or Los Angeles Comic Con, I think it was San Fran Comic Con, sued them because they have the trademark. Or San Diego Comic Con.
Yeah, San Diego.
SDCC. Yeah, they sued them because they have the trademark on Comic Con specifically. So, long story short, Denver Fan Expo is just Comic Con with an extra little, like, sprinkle of fucking cinnamon sugar on it. But, like, legit, in my opinion, it was not worth it. And the main thing to consider is I wouldn't worry about it, because to be honest, my experience there was that, one, the artist alley is in the worst place humanly fucking possible, and everyone blows all of their money on vendor goods before they even get back into the artist alley. The last time that I was there, it was so disorganized that people couldn't find the bathroom, they couldn't find the med station, they were legitimately lost, and they mislabeled all of the aisles, so nobody knew where anything was. The organization was awful. It was so crowded that there was a point in time where artists were getting locked out of the artist alley because they went to leave to go to the bathroom, and then the room itself would be at capacity, meaning they legally could not fit any more people in there, and so suddenly artists couldn't get back to their tables because they were being told, like, sorry, we have to wait until people leave the artist alley or leave the vendor hall in order for you to go back in there, even though you're the fucking one selling the goods and you paid $450 to be there. And so it was really bad. It was maybe one of the worst convention experiences I've ever had. I personally would not ever recommend anyone selling at that event. It was, like, so bad. But if you want to apply to other fan conventions, do it. I just would say, like, unless you know that you're bringing in several $1,000s every time you go to do an event, Denver Fan Expo is, like, really not worth it. But yeah, speaking of math, I was, like, looking at the math for why you would choose to go with a hybrid publisher or not. So for me, for example, I make about $680 to $820 per book, the books that I sell, give or take, per year. And, like, it's not a lot, but that's the numbers there based on how much I sell. The upfront cost for me is around $1,000 to $2,000 per book, give or take, but let's go $1,000. My net 5-year profit is about $5K, or not $5K, $2K. So ultimately, I've made my money back, and I make profit there. But looking at hybrid publishing, you get a higher royalty per book for sure, and the annual profit is barely higher, but the upfront cost is like $8,000, which over 5 years would put me in the negative. So there's, like, literally no reason to do that. It would be foolish. It would be silly. Doesn't make any sense. So really what I need to do is I need to figure out how to actually up my marketing here so that way I can get my books to more people. Yeah, in some cases it's worth paying people to do what you know how to, to save yourself time. Yes, definitely. But not if the monetary cost is more than your own time. Exactly. Well, and it's like ultimately if they can't offer you something, like, because effectively in order for that to become profitable for me, I would have to figure out how to sell 500 to 1,000 books a year. And at that point, it's like, well, fuck that. I'm just figuring out how to do that myself, you know, like, and the answer to that question partially, like, I had a meeting with one of my consultants, or the guy that I work for, my boss, truly, he's a marketing consultant for books. And, like, his number one thing is, like, just get your social media up. If you can, like, get that going, you're going to be fine. And so, like, that doesn't cost you anything really. And you can do TikTok ad spend and stuff kind of selectively because TikTok is not that like effective otherwise, but it's also not that expensive. So like there are certain things that you can do that are really low cost to try and get you there. So you don't have to spend $8,000 to do that. Like, and it's tough because, like, I know people look at me and they're like, man, well, you're not making, like, $1 million selling books every year. So, like, why should you be the expert on it? And I recognize that marketing is literally my weakest, like, suit. But there are certain things that I know that do work. Like, for example, I have already, like, for example, only really started posting like twice a day for the last 3 weeks, and I've jumped like 300 followers on TikTok. You know, so certain things, it's like, okay, the math you can figure out. It's like, okay, if I do X, then that will equal Y. But finding out those things, figuring out what works is what's difficult. And it's not often that those kinds of things actually like work that way. Where they're formulaic in that way. And so that's where I think authors get frustrated, myself included, where I'm like, how do I get people's eyes on me? Yeah, 30 a month is good. Yeah, especially if you're small. And what's crazy is that shit snowballs, you know? And so, like, once you start doing that, it'll go and go and go and go. And that's really, like, all you can do is just keep being consistent. And even better if you see those things convert into sales. Blah. I don't really like these eyes, though. Actually. Oh, yeah. Ask if you want to do cross promotions. Oh, yeah, totally. No. And, like, making friends and working together is always more effective than working alone. Oh, my God. This is the face of Brady. Brady trying unseasoned white people chicken for the first time. He's like, bro, why did you feed this to me? It's Kara's mom's unseasoned mac and cheese bake. She's super nice, but damn, I don't think that lady is the kind of lady that can cook. I don't think so. I think she's just average. Overcooked gluten-free noodles. Yeah, gluten-free, soy-free, dairy-free, oat-free, nut-free, meat-free. God bless. I really do blame Kara's weird older sister. Like, we get no context for that. Like, we never, ever, like, meet her in the books. She's allergic to fucking everything. Joy-free. Yeah, no, for real. That poor girl. Yeah, well, and I think the two powerhouses I agree right now. If you can stand Instagram, the two best platforms right now are Instagram or TikTok. And then by proxy, YouTube, because you can upload everything from TikTok to YouTube. You don't even have to make original shit for that. You just kind of copy-paste, which is exactly what I do. And the growth on YouTube is slower, and there are unfortunately way more homophobes on YouTube. But those are your two best. And then I would say Blue Sky comes in close third. And that's growing. It'll take time, but I think Blue Sky is going to be a force to be reckoned with soon. Yeah, unfortunately, Instagram shifted a lot of its algorithm to influencers. So if you have a storefront and you sell physical products, you're going to have a better time. But if you're just producing art for the sake of fine art, for example, the algorithm will punish you. So for somebody like me, for example, because I produce concept art and I'm not really selling anything, only occasionally do I sell stuff. I mean, I was getting like 1 or 2 likes on my images and like no followers. This was several years ago, so the algorithm could have changed since then. But I personally didn't have very much luck. And then also, too, like, the policies are, something that you have to contend with. So you have to decide whether or not, like, it's worth it to be on specific platforms, where your audience is, all of those things. I recognize Book Talk. There's not really, like Bookstagram is a thing, but Book Talk is more a thing. Like, the people that are there, like, there's millions of people on Book Talk. Like, that shit is a fucking powerhouse. So like knowing where your audience is and what's going on is going to be like the best thing that you can do for yourself. And if one thing works, fucking stick with it and literally don't stop. And hopefully they won't change the algorithm, like that's all that you can hope, is that it's like, or like in the case of TikTok, like I'm very thankful that I'm going to be moving out of the United States and moving to Canada, because TikTok isn't going away in Canada. But here in the US, it's getting its own app. And with the restrictions that they're putting on it, we won't be able to reach any international audiences. So it's either going to kick me in the ass or it's going to really benefit me. And I'm not really sure which one it is yet. And we have to just wait to find out. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, we won't know until we get there. Yeah, and there's certain things about Book Talk that I think don't work. Like, for example, the main issue with Book Talk is the fact that a lot of people really desperately try to do as many book reviews as humanly possible without making genuine connections with people. And so sometimes certain accounts can become what I would call just like review mills, and it becomes clear to the audience that they don't actually care about the content that they're producing. So certain ones are better than others. Like, obviously Q's TikTok is fucking fantastic and is a perfect example of like how to do that well or how to do that right. But yeah, I've definitely seen some people and they're like, I don't understand why my followers don't stick around. And it's like, well, because you're effectively just regurgitating Amazon reviews that you found on the internet, and there's no like personalization. More reason for y'all to move to Canada. No, I'm not even shitting you, Cal. Like, it actually could be the difference between whether or not my business functions. Like, Donald Trump has fucked us. Like, I'm not even joking. It's really bad. Yeah, and it's tough because isolationism in terms of policies is not always a bad thing, because sometimes, like, I know, for example, FDR, and he's not a perfect guy, obviously, but like some of his policies were very isolationist, and I won't say that the way that he reacted to one, Japanese internment, or two, World War II as a whole was good in any way, shape, or form. I think that's my largest critique of him as a person. It was fucking weak. But he was largely isolationist during the Great Depression, which effectively saved America's ass. So, like, sometimes it can be good, but there's a difference between isolationism and media control. Because media control looks more like North Korea or China, where China has their own version of TikTok, for example, called Douyin. And we don't really see, like, you have to do some tricky shit. Like certain influencers who are in China are able to have TikTok accounts because they use VPNs and other funky shit to get around Chinese censorship effectively. But otherwise, they're on Douyin. They're not on TikTok, right? And so M2 would become Douyin for us, where we'd have to get really creative on how to, like, get around that shit. But yeah, media isolation or media censorship is the problem, really, if that makes sense. But yes, I am doing book reviews now. I want to try and, like, show that I do read and I know, like, what I'm talking about, and not, like, I'm not crazy. But yeah, media censorship in any form is fucking bad. And that's really why I think we are where we are. But we live in an administration where, you know, it's like, oh, we brought in the newest labor numbers and people are unemployed and jobs are falling and nobody's happy and everybody's freaking out. Oh, just fire the labor statistics guy. Just fire him. Those numbers were fake. Let's make new numbers. Oh yeah, monopolies, media monopolies are horrifying. And also, too, it's just, like, really boring from, like, a production standpoint as well, because everything kind of gets, like, the term that I would use would be, like, the homogenization of media, where we start to get to the point where everybody is watching the same things over and over and over because everybody owns everything, right? So annoying. It doesn't allow for fresh, new ideas to permeate. Which is why indie films and indie media is becoming so popular right now. Which is great. Yes, quality goes down. Exactly. You are 4,000% right, though. And then it becomes a production quality issue. Overall, your employees are not very happy. Like, it's just, there's so many things intrinsically and systemically that become a problem for those kinds of places. That's why I won't ever work for Disney, because I don't ever want to do that. Versus a place like Nickelodeon, that's like a different story. Cartoon Network, I think, has finally died. We have watched the birth and death of an empire. Most studios do. If you're working at a studio and you produce something for them, they typically have clauses where once you're done with the show and the show has been released, then you can put stuff in your portfolio to showcase that effectively you worked on stuff, but it's normally very specific pieces. So, for example, say you're a storyboard artist, you can upload finished animatics for something, but you may have to get permission from your art director in order to release those things, if that makes sense. But pretty much any and all studio is going to have the copyright ownership of what you produced. That's part of working for any studio in the United States or anywhere in the world, really. I don't think that there's any places where you go and you have copyright ownership over any IP that you make for games or film. For example, while I was even working on this assessment for this Chinese company, I shouldn't really say that they're Chinese. They're like, I mean, I don't know. At what point are they, though? Their office is in San Francisco, but, like, I don't know. When I was working on their stuff, they made me sign an NDA, which is why I can't talk about the content that I wrote, because as of right now, in that NDA, what it said is that the 11 episodes that I wrote, belong to that company right now. I shipped that off to them, and I'm allowed to share it 3 months, I think. I'd have to look at the NDA again. I think 3 months after I submitted it, or after the content is released, whichever comes first. So if you're working on a show and like the movie comes out, fuck it, free reign. You can do whatever you want, and like it depends again on the content of your NDA, and each thing is fine. But no, you can have like personal work that you're working on that you can share all over the place. Like fan art is a thing. You can be working on any other stuff. Now, however, that does not exclude what are called non-competition clauses, which are two completely different things. A non-competition clause is very common in the game and film industry where, like, for example, I just applied to a studio that is looking for freelance concept artists, which is different than a contract concept artist, right? That being said, they asked me when I applied, do you have any contracts that you're currently under that have a non-compete clause in them? Because what can happen is, like, say I'm working for, like, Bethesda. They say, hey, if you work for us, this is a non-compete. You are only allowed to work for us. You cannot work on your own game projects. You can't work on indie projects by yourself. You can't work for your friends. You can't work for other studios. You can only work for us. And once your contract is done, then you can go and work for other people. So sometimes those kinds of things happen. But it's mostly because they don't want people to effectively be talking about, like, industry shit with each other, because people will steal each other's ideas. There's, like, the major reason for that is to prevent people from doing that. Also, too, it's because as well, they don't want you to have your attention divided between your studio that you're working for and 18 other jobs, because most likely during crunch time, they're going to need you to pull 60 to 80 hours a week. And if you're trying to pull 60 to 80 hours a week at one studio, that adds up to like 160 hours a week total for work, which is physically, humanly impossible. Like, you're just not going to be able to do it. And it really, again, depends on how big the studio is and what kind of job you're working on. But NDAs are really, really, really important for that whole reason. They're kind of their own unique animal. I definitely don't mind non-compete, especially if, as long as the studio's paying you good and you're, like, not at risk of, like, having your shit stolen, you're pretty much fine. You just have to figure out how extensive their non-compete clause is, because if their non-compete means that you can also not work on, like, personal art for funsies and things like that, that's a problem. Because, again, what they're worried about is that you're going to steal their IP. So say, like, you worked for a studio and the studio itself is, like, working on, like, an Assassin's Creed-like project. Sure, that's fine. But then what if you're under the non-compete and you decide to take all the mechanical knowledge that you learn while working at that studio and you go and you make your own game and release it before they release their game? That's effectively theft. And so that's what those non-compete clauses really are there for, is to prevent people from stealing concepts before they can be copyrighted or trademarked or patented, depending on the thing. But smaller studios tend to not really, like, do that. They're, like, more loosey-goosey about that kind of shit. But big studios definitely will most likely have you sign a non-compete. It also prevents studios from sniping employees from other studios as well. Not like we have the problem with that right now, because as of right now, there are like fucking a million unemployed animators, and we're all starving. So not like it would be difficult to find work or employers. Or employees, for that matter. We're all just dying. But I guess the ultimate lesson truly is when you sign any kind of contracts, whether it's with publishing houses or, you know, like I went and looked at that NDA that I signed with those people before I did that assessment. And like, thankfully for the assessment, it's like, I don't care about the work, you know, like, and if my stuff doesn't get selected, it doesn't really matter. And I'll have to ask if I do get hired by them, you know, can I use this in my portfolio? You know, because some companies will let you do that and some won't. So that'll be the question is, it's like, could I put this in a screenwriting portfolio as a piece that is actually like worth it, you know? And they may say no. They may say, nope, this belongs to Real Short. But then what you do is you just direct people and you say, yes, I don't have writing samples, but here's portfolio pieces that I did for this company, and this is what I created. And here's the finished, completed episode. And they are able to work with that most of the time anyway. But that also is why working on your own personal projects like this, like what I have here, is really important. Because if you don't make stuff like this, then you can potentially end up in a situation where you don't have anything in your portfolio because everybody has it under their own NDAs or exclusivity clauses. Which is a pain in the butt. It's very complicated. Ah, 4. Evil Brady is not really going to be my vibe here. Oh, sad Brady. Okay, I actually really like the angle of that face, so I'm going to stick with that. Sad Brady. I love doing these model packs, though. These model packets, they're amazing. Model packets are fun. Oh, so sad. No, Brady, no. I don't think, like, Brady's a mischievous little guy, but this is evil. This is raw, unadulterated evil. That is funny, though. Honestly, I'm down for teachers being able to use whatever tools they need to be able to grade quickly and efficiently, as long as they're not, like, throwing shit into ChatGPT and being like, grade this. It's like, okay. Because ChatGPT is not going to have any fucking idea what's going on, especially for, like, visual projects like art. You know, it's not going to be able to grade art. Because, fun fact, AIs, language learning models, they can't see. So if you upload an image into ChatGPT, it can't really look at it. Like, kind of, but, like, they can't really see. They don't got them eyeballs. Why? I would really love to get through these. You just got robbed of all your money. No, what happened? Like, wait, what? Am I gonna have to beat somebody up? Oh, Road 69. Ah! Somebody, now! Terrible, though. That's interesting that the game is procedurally generated in that way, where it's like you never know. Well, let me see what. Hold on. Look at this turnaround here. It's straight. He's got a straight nose bridge. The guys were so friendly the first time I met them. Damn. Hydrate. I'm almost done with my first cup of tea for the day. Oh yeah, AIs can't really see. Some language learning models are better than others, but like for the most part, if you upload an image to ChatGPT and ask what is in this, it has like a very vague idea of what it's looking at, but it doesn't really know. And I think like at some point that will get better, but like that's just a weird AI fun fact, is that it's like it can't really do that. It can definitely read alt text for sure. And I think again it depends on the model. Yeah, because it can, to some extent, this is the science behind it. It can sometimes see images, question mark. It can identify basic objects, scenes, and even text within images, which is fine, but it doesn't have the ability to actually, like, interpret every single element. And if there are any ambiguities to the image at all, it won't understand it. And so it's like, it can look at a face and it'll recognize a face, for example, right? It'll look at it and go, oh, that's a face. I understand. But if it looks at, like, if you were to start to ask it specific questions, like what age do you think that person is? Or what is, like, the overall expression on the person's face even? Like, it can see smiles, but it's not going to be able to tell you, like, ultra specific information necessarily. So that's where that gets kind of tricky. But thought that was kind of interesting. Conversational versus formal tone, and not using phrases such as I feel or I believe. Yeah, it's literally a scale in Grammarly. No, I gotcha. Well, and that, like, really what it shows is that Grammarly much like a lot of the other like correction software or like grammar or spell check software that's out there, this is again not necessarily a bad thing, it just kind of is. It is meant to be an academic tool, which is why Grammarly is not very good for line editing. It can't do it because, like, while if you pay for its premium service or whatever, it says that it can do things like assist with style and shit like that, but I'm like, to what extent? You know, it can't understand and read an author's individual style. And so it's not going to be perfect for that. It doesn't work like that. So that's kind of one of those things. Grammarly is great for proof editing or proofreading, but that's it. That's all it's got. Yes. Well, and I'm going to be making videos on that this week. Totally. I'm going to be talking about author voice and how ChatGPT can be a really useful research tool, but you can't use it to write. And the reason is because it homogenizes your author voice and follows very specific grammar rules that it was taught to follow. And if you have certain things like, for example, I've been reading We Are the Match by Mary E. Roach. Fantastic book, by the way. It is a retelling of the Helen of Troy myth from Greek mythology, if you like that one. But it is really, really effective in character voice. And Helen and Paris are the two main characters in this particular story. But each of the women have completely different character voices. So they, in their own brain, sound different because everything is from first person, right? And Helen they both have trauma, but they process things differently. I would argue that Paris, I don't know if Paris was directly involved in a bunch of like stuff, what she witnessed as a kid, but Helen definitely witnessed some fucked up shit as a child. And she has PTSD episodes. And the way that those are executed and written has insane amounts of character voice. And without that, the character becomes not nearly as effective as she could be, right? And so if you were to use something like ChatGPT, or even Grammarly to some extent, to write that out, it's not going to be able to give you the uniqueness that you're looking for because, like you're saying, humans each have their own unique way of thinking. And like another good example of what I've been working on, because I've been working on that tabletop RPG just for funsies. I have now a character that I didn't expect because I didn't know how I wanted this Dungeon Master's Guide, or I'm calling it the Game Guide, to sound or to feel when you're reading it as a user for the first time. And effectively what this thing has evolved into is an isekai game. And the isekai in itself, you got ported into this game, right? And there's a guy that's also trapped in this game as well, who is effectively acting as everybody's game guide, getting into the game for the first time. And he himself, or they themselves, they don't really want to leave. And their name is Toby. And so I wasn't expecting to write a manual from a character's perspective. But Toby is this like otaku, weird, funny, awkward, probably like AMAB person who is trying to explain this game to you. And so suddenly this game itself, the manual itself, has its own very unique character voice. And when I'm writing, I can hear them speaking in my head. I know what like nasal tone they have when they speak, what the cadence is when they speak, and so you can start to hear this person. And ChatGPT is not going to be able to give you that. It's just, it can't. It's just physically incapable of doing so. So it's a very interesting thing, and like maybe in the future it will be, you know, you could upload samples of your own work and be like, yeah, write this in this character voice, but like at that point, you're already doing like most of the work. So why are you making ChatGPT do the rest of it? Like, just write yourself. Like, yeah, I'm sure. Like, I'm like, that sure is a suggestion, and technically it's a correct, but I meant to say it the way that I did. Yes, well, and I'm doing that line editing course right now, and really, like, I feel kind of bad because the teacher's like, well, clearly you're a professional and you didn't really need to be here and you're just here for the certificate. Like, she's not mad at me, but it becomes very clear that I'm not really learning anything in the class, which is fine. But there are some things that I, at the very minimum, can, like, talk about and now have better language to talk about that I am picking up on in this class. And this week we're talking about, or well, I guess really more so last week we started talking about it, but we were talking about author voice and how to edit as a line editor while respecting somebody's author voice, because ultimately things that they are doing may be grammatically incorrect. But to some extent, you have to just tell yourself that doesn't fucking matter. Doesn't matter. Because, like you're saying, there are ways that people communicate that are not grammatically perfect. Nobody thinks about that all the time. I'm a professional writer, and I don't speak grammatically correctly all the time. I make mistakes. I speak 2 different languages. I mix up shit all the time. Sometimes I use, like, phrases from both languages when I speak. You know, so there's, like, so many things that potentially can happen when somebody is speaking. And if you're an editor and you're going in and you're wanting to homogenize everything and remove that author voice, you're effectively destroying the author's independent sound, which is a shame. You know, it's like that should not be your primary goal as an editor. That's like the actual opposite of what you should be doing. And so a lot of people have been asking me on YouTube, it's like, oh, well, you know, AI is going to take this job away. No. And it's like, well, until the robot can figure out how to actively be able to read and interpret an author's voice and implement that in a successful way, no. Like, no. Sure, it can fix errors maybe, but, like, not really. Not really. Either Tweakin or the doors of this limo were always on the left, but I feel like they were on the right. You've entered an alternate dimension. I appreciate your wording. You wording my style as accessible. Yeah, no, I definitely think that it is. I think that it's very conversational and fun. You know, it's loose. It's got like this gentleness to it. It's good. An author's words and voice on the page are a painter's brushstrokes. Yeah, and like even to some extent, like, because I feel like it's funny, because there's an exhibit coming to the Denver Art Museum on Pissarro, who's considered the father of Impressionism. So Impressionism would have been like Monet, Manet, and others who were doing like a lot of pointillist work. I think Degas is also an Impressionist as well. But the goal of Impressionism really was to just capture the essence of the subject. You don't have to be hyper real, or you don't have to be accurate necessarily. But what's really funny is that certain artists like Monet, he was blind. He was legally blind. He could not see for shit. And so the reason he used pointillism to paint is because in his actual eyesight, when he looked at shit, everything was just colored dots. And so he did his best. That's why his paintings are also fucking huge. Like, people have no idea that Monet's work, unless you've seen it in real life, are like massive. And it's because he was looking at stuff and then having to go and effectively dot by dot recreate what he was seeing with his eyes because he could barely see. And people saw that and they went, oh my God, I want to recreate that style because it's so trendy. But what they didn't realize is that's really like the equivalent of Monet's author voice, so to speak, or painter voice. And he wasn't doing it intentionally. He just couldn't fucking see, you know? So, like, thinking about that way, or like how Beethoven also couldn't hear. He was effectively functionally deaf. He suffered from severe hearing loss throughout his life. And so a lot of his pieces are really loud and bangy and dramatic. because he couldn't hear. He had to cut the legs off of his piano to put it close to the ground so that way when he played and hit those keys, he could physically feel them, feel the sound, because he couldn't hear. So, and then people wanted to imitate that because they thought that stylistically it was cool, but like people don't realize that it's like you're doing something intuitively as an artist, as an author, and you don't need to work for it. If you are a good author, a good painter, a good musician, your voice will come naturally because you're already doing it. You don't have to force yourself to sound like somebody else, you know? And you don't even have to be disabled to have a unique voice, obviously. Like, I definitely just think about those two instances and how it really was because of their disabilities that, like, they sounded that way. But everybody sees the world differently, or they, in the fine art world, they call it the artist's opinion. Everyone has a different opinion, so we all could be looking at the same subject. And I might notice the subject's eyes, but you might notice their hands or the necklace around their neck. And so suddenly the focus of the piece inherently changes from person to person. It's some cool shit. It's really amazing. Yeah, but there is something to be said about how disabilities can shape unique perspectives and styles. No, it's super true. And also, diversity is important. No, you're 4,000% right, though. 4,000% right. And this is why, yeah, having disabled authors or minority authors or artists is really, really fucking important. Because if we don't, then unfortunately we fall again into that homogenized soup. It becomes soup. Nobody likes soup. Not that kind of soup, anyway. Spicy. And by spicy, I mean my tea is very hot. This little fucking cat tea warmer is the absolute goat. It does the most work. Oh, that's fantastic. Yes. So we're doing 12. Oh, I thought I knew, but I don't. I thought I knew, but I don't. Imitation Game was about Alan Turing. Yeah, or Turing made the precursor to the internet. Yeah, the Turing machine's amazing. He was gay and schizophrenic. Yeah, true. Yeah, your brain just is wired different. Sometimes your brain cooks different. That's all I gotta say. I was attempting to load up my calendar with necessary dates for apps and some of them are open, only to find that this is going to be way easier than I realized. Fuck yeah. I love that, though. Fantasy. Okay, now I need to pull this back up. Okay. I have an easier time drawing faces from this direction, so I'm going to do that because this is just naturally how my hand goes. Back on a writing note, I had a friend who tried to correct me on how my characters would act. They acted like the expert of them, and now I realize that I think the characters would do things wrong, and letting someone else define them ain't quite right. No, for sure. Well, and I think a lot of people, too, they don't realize that characters having flaws and having internal conflict is the only way to have successful writing. And, like, ultimately, you have to know your characters well enough to know that. And there might be some things that are a little, like, off. Like, I was just doing the writing assignment for this class, or this editing class. I turned it in yesterday. And I was looking at a character and talking about, like, maintaining author voice. And there are certain things that do end up, like, what I would consider, like, out of character, or character behaviors that I would consider bizarre. And that behavior in this particular instance was this guy wiped the fuck out and hit some ice on a running trail and wiped out. That being said, the guy hit the pavement, and by the pavement I mean the muddy ass running trail that he was running on. And what the author originally had included was that the guy hit the ground with a jolt of existential dread. And what I suggested, because I don't think that when you wipe out, like if you hit the fucking dirt like that, you know you're not gonna die. It's not like you're fucking sliding off of a cliff, for example, and like you're gonna fall to your death. Because that would have been different if that was the scenario. But this was just on like a trail in a park. Like he doesn't have to call into question the moral implications of hitting the earth, you know. And so I suggested like jolt of pain instead of existential dread, because he twists his knee really fucking like hard. And so in some cases it's like the author kept reiterating in this passage over and over and over how this character is just swallowed in existential dread. And I was like, look, I understand where you're coming from, but like if you keep reiterating over and over and over that this guy has existential dread, the audience is going to get bored as fuck. And they're not going to want to like experience the character anymore, because you're just telling them over and over and over. It's like, hey, by the way, my character's got existential dread. He's got dread. And it's like, okay, we fucking get it. The guy's got existential despair. Holy shit. You know, it's like, it's at some point you have to just be like, look, friend, like, figure out a different way to say this about your character, or rewrite it, because the audience is going to get bored. So sometimes things can seem out of character and probably should be rewritten, but you're 1,000% right. Like, ultimately, really the way that the editor or someone giving you feedback should approach it is in the sense that it's like, I didn't find this character compelling because they confuse me. Like, nothing that they do logically makes sense. For example, I was reading a book very recently that was, it felt like a ripoff of Frozen. Not like I haven't written a Frozen ripoff before, so no shame to the Frozen ripoffs out there in the world. But this particular book had some really questionable shit in it that didn't make sense for a character. Like, for example, oh, this is rough. Hold on. Oh boy, I apparently can't draw. So for example, this girl dragged this other girl who's supposed to be the love interest, they're the two love interests, into a closet in the dark. And one girl went to undress the other girl to get a corset off, or a binder off of her, because she couldn't breathe, because she was disguising herself as a man. And then openly made the statement that it was like, oh man, you know, if I had better self-control, I would have just undressed you right here, and I would have just felt you up. And I was like, wow, cool. So we're supposed to want to love. Yeah, creepy. Exactly. We're supposed to give a shit about this relationship, and you just fucking made your main character a sex offender. Like, what the fuck? It was so bad. Like, I'm gonna do a review on this. This is the first, like, it's the only 1-star I've given this whole year so far for the books that I've read. But oh my god, it was bad. And like, logistically, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any fucking sense. So from like a logical standpoint, you have to be like, you have to take a step back for that author and be like, look, we got to talk about this behavior because it's going to be really unappealing to your readers and it's going to turn people off. Like, ultimately, nobody's going to want to read this because now you have like a sexual assaulter main love interest. It's like not great, so don't do that, you know. Or even like another example, Eric Fenn comes in here sometimes. Their work is absolutely exceptional. If you've ever, if you want to read a really good cozy horror, they just released Lamb, Stag, and Wolf. Their work is amazing. Love them. They're a great friend and a really good author. But their first book, Dreamer in the Marked, their main character wasn't very good, and I was reading and editing the whole thing, and as like a developmental editor from that standpoint, I was like, man, I just don't find this character compelling, you know? Like, she's just not very interesting, and like, she probably needs some work, you know? So sometimes you can leave feedback like that, but like, yeah, like you're saying, when you have like a character or a person who's supposed to be giving you beta or alpha feedback on your work, and all they want to do is effectively shit on every single character, then one, they're not a professional and they, you know, that's not helpful in any way, shape, or form. But then two, it ultimately doesn't do anything to help improve the book. You know, it's like, what you're telling me is just that, like, you didn't actually read it. Oh my god. I got mad. Oh no. Yeah, you can make a creepy ass character, but that's villain behavior. Yeah, it's like the logic doesn't fly. It doesn't make any sense. Hold on now. I feel like there's an anatomy issue happening here. Oh no, it's pretty straight up and down. This style is so different from my like regular stuff that like, let me move this out just a little bit and pull it back in at a diagonal. It's so different from my like regular style that I have to constantly double check myself. I chose to save the cop from a car crash and got arrested. Damn bro. Games like you thought you were going to be a nice person, not today. God, there's like this. There we go. Better. Ooh. Ooh. Get this going here too. Hey, Cap. Stop. You're like, clearly this is the solution all along. Oh, man. Yeah, then there was no villain. There was no plot. I have so many things to say about that. I'm going to be making a long format YouTube video this week covering all of the reviews of the books that I've not only been posting to TikTok, but also some that I haven't covered yet, and I will eventually upload to TikTok, but yeah, there's something that can be compelling about main characters who do bad things, but your ass has to be really careful about the ways and how the character themselves feel about the bad things. Yes. Well, like, for example, again, I'm reading a mob romance, so it is, you know, it would be considered in the dangerous love category for romances, which a lot of people really like. You have people physically hurting each other, beating the shit out of each other, and then having sex. That's kind of the vibe here. That's you know, it's very edgy. There's a lot of BDSM culture in it. It's typically very intense, but there is a clear delineation between the people who are physically violent and bad and the people who are consensually violent and good. So, for example, in this book, the mob boss, the main bad guy of this novel, he's violent. And he will throw the main characters around. He abuses his own kid. You know, he's clearly a bad dude. I'll go ahead and wait for ads to get done to keep going with my thought here. Oh, wait, I'll just chill out. I'll just chill out. Poor Brady. I don't know what's happening to him in this particular pose, but he looks like he's having a time. Oh, not a good time. But isn't showing me an ad. Oh my god. You're just trapped? I love commercial breaks. Whoa. So he's just violent. Point being, he's violent as fuck. He throws people around. You know, classic mob villain. He physically is not very cool. But the two love interests are also... They are two girls from very physically rough environments, because one of them is the daughter of that mob boss, and then the other one is a kid whose entire family was blown up by said mob boss. So that being said, those girls are affectionate with each other in a way that is very physically violent, but they're both consenting, and that's like the main point of all of this, and why a book like 50 Shades of Grey doesn't work, because it borderlines not consensual, or like, I know a lot of people, I personally haven't read it, so I don't have any reference to this, but a lot of people think Edward Cullen is a predator from Twilight because of the way that he operates in Midnight Sun specifically. Like, that particular book enlightens a lot of like what was going on in his head in that perspective, and a lot of people now, Stephenie Meyer released Midnight Sun, and now people are like, oh my god, Edward Cullen is actually a fucking freak, he's super scary, like, ew, you know, he's just gross. You know, so you have to be really careful. And having sensitivity editors is a great way to not have that happen to your characters, but like... And a lot of people forget, too, that you don't have to have a protagonist that is the good guy, a protagonist that is a hero. You can have a protagonist that is the villain. But that book is going to function completely differently, and it's not going to have the same messages or execution. Yes, and problematic characters should write problematic things. And yeah, content warnings are becoming very popular in certain books and book types, you know, so it's like, it really depends on the author if they want to include a content warning. But, you know, like, ultimately, I don't, like, if you're writing pretty severe content, like, when I've been sending out my query to authors or to agents, I always include a content warning, because like, I don't want people to get upset, you know? It's almost like if you try to write romance from a Mormon perspective, you're likely to wind up with some very unhealthy dynamics. Yep, and that was the case obviously with Stephenie Meyer in Twilight, and the case of that weird creepy rapist Frozen book that I just read. Both of them. So it's definitely a trend. Like, it's really bad. I don't know. I don't have any answers. It does not surprise me that that happens to me twice. Oh yeah, the best villains think that they're right. The best villains are the heroes in their own story. Because that's always how it goes. Like, you have to really ask yourself, like, why they're doing what they're doing. You know, like, And some people are just shit people. But, you know, like I think about Talbot in Court of Snakes, where he's doing what he's doing because he genuinely thinks that if he doesn't start to, like, cull the masses, people will starve to death. He's like, yeah, I'm going to do this, but then also, too, if I do this, I need to, like, kill as many people as possible to save lives. It's very much a Thanos-like mentality. I would hydrate, but I'm out of tea. I'm going to get some water after, though. I'm pretty much done with stream for the day. Anyway. Yeah, so it's like, definitely that. But like others, like I think about Athos from One Pale Reflection and from Betrayer's Blade. And he is like literally a like, probably I could like clinically diagnose him as like a narcissist with like a personality disorder. Like he's, and that doesn't make people with personality disorders like inherently bad people, but he legitimately has major main character syndrome, and he does not care about people around him, and is ultra violent and wants things to be his way because he thinks he's right 100% of the time. There is literally like no other reason for that. So sometimes shit people are just shitty because they are shit, and that's the secret. And then by proxy, 50 Shades of Grey, because it was based on Twilight and also written by someone who doesn't understand BDSM. Yeah, so it effectively ended up being the worst. Literally the most problematic shit that's ever been written. Yeah. Damn, I only need one more. One more little fucking expression. Which is a shame. I'm gonna actually take these and then I'm gonna put one more down there in this corner. Damn! I got very close. Very close. Okay, so let me see. I'm curious here. So I guess I'm just going to keep going through this. Because I'm going to need Kara, Blockhead, and Rollo next. And then a lineup. So I guess I'll work on Kara next. After I get done with this expression, so she'll be the next one that I mess around with is Kara. And then get her sheet done and ready to go. But I feel like we made some pretty good progress here. Pretty good. And it's fine that it's problematic. No, it's not. In that particular case, it's not fine that it's problematic. Because it inaccurately represents a major like kink community and teaches people that effectively being physically violent and abusive towards your partner without their consent is okay and hot and sexy. And that's why there's a massive issue with it. It's not okay. Yeah, it doesn't represent the BDSM community in any way, shape, or form. Because there's a difference between having a book that covers BDSM or kink topics or erotic topics and saying at the beginning of your book, hey, this might be upsetting for people. If you don't like this kind of content, don't read this book. And no, so the problem is that the person who wrote the book 100% believes that that's how BDSM works. So it's not that the person who wrote the book went, oh, this isn't how BDSM works. I'm going to write a book about why it's wrong or this is wrong and how to not do it. They went, I don't know anything about this topic and I'm going to write about it like I am an expert in it, and violently misrepresented the community, which led to a lot of people having intimate encounters and being physically hurt doing those things. So it's definitely like unfortunately like, and the publisher didn't care. The publisher did not give a shit because it made them money. So it's, in that particular case, it's an educational issue. In the same way that like particularly racist works are also harmful, if that makes sense, or misrepresentations of the disability community are harmful, etc., etc. So yeah, unfortunately, that particular book is literally like the primo example of like, holy moly, why this is such a problem. Also, hi Gamby, we're talking about 50 Shades of Grey and how much of a clusterfuck that entire book is. It's so bad. Poorly written, bad execution, bad messaging. Good lord. Weird movie. Weirdly uncomfortable movie. Yeah, because I'm trying to think of other stuff that I've read that was like that intense. I typically tend to avoid like really hardcore erotica just because as a demisexual, I'm like, Oh no, 50 Shades didn't. No, I was comparing it to other titles that have problematic racism in it, where the author doesn't realize that they are being racist and misrepresenting a community, but then the book gets published anyway, if that makes sense. Oh my god, Aunt Timmy! No! I should have known! No, wait! Oh my god, what a red flag. God damn it, Aunt Timmy's so bad. No! Yeah, no, 50 Shades didn't have any overt racism in it, but there are definitely like other books that have similar problems where it's like, dang, you know, like they knew nothing about this community. Similar example, actually, I have a good example that I can pull out of my bag. I don't remember what the title of the book is called because it was never published, but a great example of this where it's like an author who doesn't know anything about something that they're writing about and it could be potentially damaging to a specific community when they publish it was a book that was published, I think, in like, I want to say it was like 2021, or it was slated to be published in 2021 by two Chinese authors who were from mainland China. They got distribution rights to publish the book in the United States. And then in order to get published here, they had a couple of sensitivity editors read over it, one of which was a black woman because one of the main characters is a little black girl. It's a young adult fiction, and so the main character effectively in this book makes friends with her servant, who happens to be black, and they have a good relationship with each other. It gives a little bit of like older fiction, kind of like The Little Princess or things like that, where topics of racism were not very like well understood at that time. But this black woman picked it up and read this book and went, fuck no. And the reason was because the authors, being Chinese, unfortunately did not realize that effectively what they had set up was this little black girl loved being a slave effectively and was having a grand old time living in this house being a servant to a lighter-skinned white woman. And it was really bad, but legitimately, because they didn't have any cultural experience with black slavery in the United States, they had no idea that that was the general vibe that they were giving with their book. And that sensitivity reader very clearly went, absolutely not, this cannot be published in the United States. It will make every black reader throw this out the window. Like, nobody's going to want to read this book. And as soon as the publisher got that feedback, they took a further look at it and they went, oh yeah, that's right. Actually, this book should be removed from shelves because it's insensitive. And they actually ended up not only pulling the title for international distribution, but overall, they ended up just pulling the whole thing. And so certain books you probably should just do that with. 50 Shades, in my opinion, is one of those ones because it's more harmful than it is helpful. And Midnight Sun by proxy is another problematic one. It's again, it falls into the issue of like people romanticizing predators, and that is very harmful for people who survive sexual abuse, you know? So it's one of those things, but it is fascinating and awful. I'm seeing something already that I don't like. Now that I'm looking at this, I'm going to fix this before I leave totally for the day here. For once in my life, I don't have any meetings today. Holy God. I had so many meetings last week. It was nuts. Hello, can you deselect, you demon? Okay, there we go. All right, cool. Oh, it just freaked out. It glitched. Okay, let me make sure that this is saved okay, because Photoshop clearly glitched the fuck out. Give me just a second. My Little Pony homogenization and colonization of other cultures is magic. I knew it! Yeah, that's one of those things, right? It's again, you can find it in certain media if you know what you're looking for, where it's like, oh no, this was like a big cultural mistake and nobody thought about it. You know, clearly nobody thought about it. Oh man, Pony's having to teach other races how friendships work, reeks of colonization, teaching other cultures how to be civilized. Right. Yeah, again, one of those things where it's like probably thought it was a good idea in the back room and then nobody double checked it. Nobody gave it a once over. Rough. Damn it, Ponies. Oh man. It's like the same thing with like you can even call to like Harry Potter too. You know, where it's like, oh, having races like house elves or like goblins be horrendously mistreated and everybody's just chill. Everybody's fine. Everybody's cool with that. And then they make fun of the one girl who is anti-racist for being anti-racist. Feels bad. Feels bad. I could talk about that for forever. I'm really fascinated by, like, especially race issues, gender issues, and culture in books, but you could, like, get entire degrees on these things for sure. But, okay, I'm going to go ahead and dip. I have to go and do real people work. Gross. So I'm going to go do that and try not lose my mind. Thanks again. I'll run through these one more time. Thanks again to Creoni for following on Twitch, and then also to Miko and Ashley for subbing on YouTube. I appreciate you all a lot. I'll be back, not tomorrow because I have a tattoo touch-up appointment, but back on Wednesday with more Heavens Equal stuff. So I will see you all then. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye-bye.